Hello there. Good evening, and thank you for joining us. We are coming to you live today, and I have Sandy with me in the green room. She'll be in here in just a minute to talk about. We both recently went to Disney World at the same time, but we didn't quite plan to be there together, so we actually had separate experiences and we did some stuff together. So I wanted to just do a little bit of housekeeping. We sort of have arranged this as sort of the 5 things you really need to know when you go to Walt Disney World right now. Obviously, the Disney experience is a little bit different right now, and so we want to sort of share what we've learned. I've actually been twice in the last month, so sort of comparing what was like a month ago versus now, and maybe some guesses as to how things will change. Remember, if you're going to ask questions in the chat, we will try to address them sort of as we go, but we may also save some for the end. So if you could just put a Q there for us so that we would know that that's a question in case there's a little bit of chatter. Right now, it doesn't seem too crowded out there, but just in case there's a little chatter, and we do welcome your comments along the way. So without further ado, drum roll, please. I need a sound effect. I didn't cue one up, but it's Sandy! Yay! And she was looking at her phone when I brought her in.
My dogs were barking, so I was listening to kids. Make that stop.
Well, welcome. So I'm super excited that we're getting to talk about this tonight. And we've sort of arranged this, as I mentioned, with 5 sort of general tips. So let's just get right into it, shall we? The first one is to choose your resort wisely. So you want to talk a little bit about why we feel like this is an important tip?
Yeah, so, well, first of all, not all of the resorts are open, so you have a limited choice. We chose Yacht Club because our 2 main goals were Hollywood Studios and Epcot. We wanted to experience the Food and Wine Festival, and we wanted to try to get into the Star Wars Rise of the Resistance. So, if you stay at Yacht Club, you can walk to both those parks, and you don't have to depend on the transportation. Plus, the pool is amazing. So if you're going to spend some time at the resort, that's a big plus.
And with the parks open fewer hours right now, you can't really go to the park from dawn to dusk right now. So it's kind of important that you pick a resort that you want to hang out in, because a lot of times
Yeah.
people tell us, oh, I don't really. Oh, I'm going to take my glasses off since you're getting a reflection of the screen. I don't really I'm not going to be in my resort, so I don't really care what the view is like. So we actually chose Wilderness Lodge, which incidentally is not open right now, but there are Disney Vacation Club villas there, and those are open since they're timeshare properties, and those can be rented with cash. And you can also use, if you're a Disney Vacation Club member, you can use your points for that. And we chose Wilderness Lodge because we chose a cabin, which we'll be putting a video up of on YouTube eventually. I did a little quick room tour as we were moving in, but we wanted solitude. So we wanted to be able to social distance and enjoy each other's company. So we chose something larger than we might normally choose for a Disney vacation. So let's talk about that transportation though, because that is an issue. So normally when you stay at Yacht Club, you have boat and bus and Skyliner.
Don't have a boat right now. So bus and Skyliner are your options. And when we tried to go to breakfast on Monday morning, it was probably about 8:45 that we couldn't get to the Skyliner. It was blocked off and locked from like that to get into that Epcot area. So that was an option. So if you want to try to get to the park early before they open, you might not be able to do that on the Skyliner. You might have to walk. So.
Yeah, and so the Skyliner is great for social distancing because each party, if you will, gets one gondola to themselves. So they're not going to pack a whole bunch of people into your gondola. They generally seat six large people or eight smaller people. I think you can fit up to 10 in there. So they keep your party together. But so then what if you have to take the bus? We did that from Wilderness Lodge. You want to talk? We've got a picture here of your party on the bus there. You want to talk a little bit about that experience?
Yeah. So they have dividers up between some of the seats. They basically have it sectioned off. So you have like two seats together, four seats together at the back of the bus. And whenever we would get on the bus driver would tell us which seats to go sit in. They were numbered. So if you end up right beside somebody, there is that partition there too. And you do have to keep the mask on the whole time. So it might take a little bit longer for the bus. We Ubered quite a bit too because we didn't want to wait for buses that much. So yeah, that's what it's like.
Yeah, and I think it's important to know that those buses, they don't operate at capacity by any stretch of the imagination. So if you're thinking, oh, when I take the bus, I'm going to be standing up, and that's not going to happen. You may have to wait for several buses. Our experience at Wilderness Lodge was that they would bring more buses through. They would, especially early in the morning when people were getting into the parks before park opening, which we will talk about in a second. They had people there monitoring to see if they needed extra buses. So that made things a little bit better for sure. All right, so the next thing we're going to talk about, wear the dang mask. I censored it for the family friendly audience here, but so mask wearing is mandated, and you may have heard that Florida is completely opened up and that you can sort of go about your business, but that is not true at Walt Disney World. Private property, they make the rules, and masks are still required.
Yep.
Yep.
Even like walking to your room in your resort, everywhere, basically, walking around the resort. The only time we were really allowed to take it off was when we're sitting at a table, or when we were eating or drinking standing still, not walking, eating and drinking, and at the pool, they let us take it off.
Yep. Exactly. So let's talk a little bit about masks and which kind of masks you might want to wear. So that's me on the left, and I'm wearing an LEL, I think is how you say it. It's a bicycle company. They make bicycle jerseys, like for cyclists. It's the same material, and in fact, you can buy matching bicycle jerseys if you'd like. And they seem to have really been designed for with the idea that you might be riding a bike while you're wearing this mask. So they're very breathable. They are 2 layers of fabric. They meet all the requirements of Walt Disney World. They do come in 2 sizes. I'm wearing a large there, and I feel like it's a little bit big. I might have wanted a smaller one, but it's nice because it comes all the way down under your chin and it sort of stays there. It also stays in place. So you want to talk about the masks? The other picture is your family plus a little bit of my family in the back there on Splash Mountain.
Yeah, we had a bunch of different kinds of masks. The one I'm wearing in this picture is actually from 31. I like it because it's a little bit stiffer fabric, so it kind of holds the shape, so you kind of have a pocket to breathe. Um, the two people behind me, Chris and Terry, they are wearing the disposable masks, and I brought a box of like 20 of those just so we would have them if we needed them. We bought some of the Disney masks. I had some that I ordered online, and those ones that came in the mail were kind of t-shirt material. I bought a Halloween one when I was down there, and it's more of a silky material. So that one I think is more comfortable than the ones I had previously. So we had a whole bunch of different ones to choose from.
I think it's really important that you wear your mask all day for a day before you go. And my youngest is in school, in-person school at a small private school. He has to wear them all day and has been since the end of August. And so he sort of gave his stamp of approval to these masks. He was able to sort of try them for us. Some things that you might want to think about that you might not, I mean, you're not used to wearing a mask all the time anyway. And even those of you who are, because you work in a profession that requires it, you may not think about the fact that you have these at your disposal all the time. When you go into the parks, you might want to take a second one with you, just in case the first one gets dirty or smelly or sweaty or wet. If it starts pouring rain, which it happens in Florida, that mask can get soaking wet. And we had an experience on my September trip where we were at downtown Disney. It was pouring rain, and my friend Karen was only wearing a poncho. She didn't have an umbrella, and that mask just got like stuck to her face. It was so wet and gross. So you want to bring a second mask with you. She actually had to go into the restaurant and ask for, if they had a mask they could give her because she couldn't wear that one anymore. It was ineffective as well. The same thing, if you eat something with a lot of garlic, bring some mints for yourself because you're going to be smelling that inside your mask. You're used to sort of apologizing to the people around you, but now it's all about you. And all that smell is going to be right there with you. So bring it to
I have a funny tip about that. I had someone tell me today that they tried these really strong mints, and with the mask on, that was actually horrible for them.
Oh.
Like really hard, like made freezing. I guess it was just too strong, so maybe just get regular strength mints.
Mm-hmm. I actually had like fruit mint candies, like the little, I think they're called icebreakers, the watermelon ones, and those are nice. They're not too terribly strong. So good tip though, absolutely. So the mask wearing it's if you think you're going to get away with drinking something and walking, that's not okay. They do require that you be stationary, and they do enforce it both verbally, and they have people walking with signs that just say, remember to wear your mask. There's also announcements running overhead every, I don't know, hour or so that say, by the way, wear your mask. It's required. And there's signs everywhere. So you would be really tough for you to try to convince Disney that you didn't know that you needed to wear a mask. And it's everyone over the age of 2 has to wear a mask, and there's no exceptions for any. So, any disabilities, anything like that, where you think that, you can get away without wearing a mask. They basically say if you can't wear a mask, then you don't want to come right now. And we'll talk about this a little bit more too, but this is not the time to take your first big trip to Disney or your, life-changing trip to Disney. This is not like full Disney experience. So definitely recommend it for people who visit often. But if it's your first trip, unless you're really, really flexible, and you don't have huge expectations, then it's probably not going to be ideal for your, oh my gosh, my phone is actually ringing. I am so sorry. Live lesson number 1, mute all your stuff. Okay, so we are on to number 3, which is line etiquette. And this is actually tricky. There's like things that you wouldn't think about. You think it's going to be very straightforward, and some of it is. But I figured we'd talk a little bit about sort of how to get through the line. So bear with me. Okay, we're not muted here. So this is what you'll see all over the parks. You will see these "Please wait here" markers. They are different colors and themes based on where you are to match the environment. They are sort of heat glued to the ground, so they don't come up very easily, and they are spaced 6 feet apart with a few exceptions, and we'll talk about that in a second. And the idea is that your party stands behind this, and then the next party behind you stands behind the next one. So not on it, not in front of it or around it, but each party stands behind it. And most people did this very well. I mean, it's not too difficult to get used to.
It's kind of nice.
Yeah. So you want to talk about this picture, Sandy? This one's one of yours.
Yeah, so this is the canoe at the Navi River Journey in Animal Kingdom. And as you can see, there's nobody standing in that middle line, and there's no markers on the ground. And if you think about it, because if they put 6 foot markers on that line, then you'd be really close to the people on either side. So there's some switchbacks that don't have plexiglass where you have to wait, and then you kind of make a big move forward. And you aren't supposed to fill in that space.
And this is something actually on our trip in September, we probably rode 3 or 4 attractions before we went, oh, it's not that the stickers are missing. It's that we're not supposed to be there. So they'll think, oh, well, I'm still 6 feet behind, and they won't be looking side to side. It's just something we're not used to. So as Sandy mentioned, there are several places where there's plexiglass, but where there isn't, then, then they have that extra spacing. So you want to talk about this one?
Yeah, so this is Starbucks on Main Street in Magic Kingdom. And you can see how spaced out we are inside. They basically don't fill that center of the queue at all. So it's all around the perimeter. And when you make your order, if there's not room for you there's like dots over on the side where you wait for your drink to be made. If there's not room over there, they'll make you stand there and wait. And so it does kind of slow things down a little bit, but they are really serious about keeping the distance. So I loved this, actually.
Yeah, it's kind of nice. I think this is this sort of a universal that I hear is we really are hoping that we continue to socially distance in lines because it's kind of nice to not have people right up on you. So this is an example. This is actually my family, if you don't recognize the feet, and we are standing around a dot. So anywhere in it, if you've been to Walt Disney World before, you know that there are places where they basically corral you, and so the Muppets is one example. It was actually at Soarin', I believe. There's also in Tower of Terror, there's where they line you up to get into the elevators. You're really close together. So what they've done instead is they say, okay, well, your whole party is going to have a row to yourself because of social distancing. So instead of standing on these numbers all together, just go stand on that dot. And so they've put these dots it's also Alien Swirling Saucers is like this too, this big corral. And so they basically direct you to this for your whole party to gather around this dot. You don't have to do it quite as literally as we did for this photo. And then you basically wait there together and the dots are socially distanced. This is also used in Rise of the Resistance. There are lots of rides where you sort of get corralled, and in those cases they have these dots on the floor. It can be a little confusing if you're used to lining up the old way. Many people ignore, the cast members who tell them how to, go stand on the dot because you're just not used to hearing that. But they will correct you, and it's pretty easy to get used to, honestly. All right, so we have covered choosing your resort wisely, mask usage, and line etiquette. Now we are going to talk about not expecting your 2019 Disney trip. So this is a really, really general statement, but it really boils down to there are some things, quite a few things that you expect to have happen at Disney that are not happening right now. So character meet and greets.
Parades, fireworks.
Parades. Park hopping.
A lot of shows.
Exactly. Unfortunately, just a couple of days ago, Disney announced they laid off most of the sort of theater style show casts. So this is obviously going to continue for a while. And we know singing is one of the ways that particles spread, really easily and far. And so it makes some sense. But it is very very sad that there is still some live entertainment. So what we're going to do is show you some examples of some of the ways that they've replaced those things. So first, we're going to look at one of the cavalcades at Epcot. This was from September. I didn't see it again in October, so they may be switching them out, but here it is. Okay, and so this is obviously Anna and Elsa, and in my opinion, the world's most beautiful horse. And you can see that they just pop up with this. You have very little warning that it's coming. And so you can see that there aren't a lot of people gathered like normally at a parade. You would have a lot of people. The person right there in front of me and is actually in my party. So that was somebody, standing that close to me was okay. That was somebody that I knew. So we're going to do this second one. And Sandy, just give me 1 second to unmute you. Okay, you want to talk about this one?
So yeah, this is Hollywood Studios. This is your video again. But yeah, the characters just coming by. It's kind of like a mini parade, but not really long enough for a whole bunch.
It gives you that sense of seeing the characters, and obviously, they're waving. You're having some interaction. It sort of blends a character meet and greet with a parade. And I will say that this time around, I see that they're starting to experiment with some meet and greets the same way that Universal Studios is doing them, where they are they're bringing in the character is standing sort of in an area that's sort of fenced or gated in a character-friendly way, so that you can actually talk to them, but you're 6 feet apart. So this next one is your video. Again, give me just a second to unmute. Okay, you're on.
Okay, so this is when you first walk into Animal Kingdom. When you've come through the first part of the park and you're walking up and you first see the Tree of Life, this is going underneath the bridge. This is their little welcome party.
It's really cool because in Animal Kingdom, that's how they do the cavalcades in general. They never do actually go on the pathways. They actually always use the boats, which is super smart, right? Because there's no way for you to get really close to them then. And it matches that sort of festival feel that Animal Kingdom has.
There's another way, if you are a Disney Visa card holder, even though they're not doing character pictures, they will let you go do a kind of green screen picture, and they'll put the character there. So you can still get some character pictures.
Yeah. Yep. And we're going to talk about character dining in just a second. But before we do that, let's talk about how to park hop.
You have to be a VIP to park hop. And it's a splurge, but it is, if you have the means, it's definitely cool to do it.
Yeah, so this was our VIP tour. We did this on a Thursday, and we actually did it a little bit spontaneously. So something to know is even though it's really crowded it's not very crowded in the parks in the sense that they've lowered the capacity of the parks. So they're operating at a far lower percentage when they say they reach capacity. So on this day, we were at Hollywood Studios when we started the tour, and the park was at capacity. Again, not normal 2019 capacity, but current COVID capacity. So there's no fast passes. So if you've been to Disney before, you're used to being able to schedule 3 fast passes for your day, and you can pick some of the rides that are most important to you and you can do them. That is not a thing right now. So in order to get through as many lines as possible, you can use the trick that celebrities have been using for years. If you can afford it, and it is pricey, there's no deal on this just because of COVID. So we were able to afford it because we pooled our resources together. But we got Frank, who is right there. We also call him Fast Frank because he ran us. Yes.
So 25,000 steps that day.
Yeah. We covered some territory. And so we started it at Hollywood Studios. We did everything at Hollywood Studios except for Rise of the Resistance. They can't take you on that one. You do have to go through the normal virtual queue for that. And then he took us to Animal Kingdom. He took us to Magic Kingdom. We knocked out 2 rides in each of those parks. And then we came back to Hollywood Studios in time for you to do your Rise of the Resistance. So you want to talk about that process? They're actually just about to change it. Did you see that article this morning?
Yeah, I got an email too because I'm going back next month. So as of right now, up until I believe it's November 3rd, they're changing it. You have to be in the park, your entire party does, to make sure you're all linked up correctly. they recommend one person from your party, so not everybody, just one person, try to get the boarding group. And it's right now it's at 10 a.m. and you are all standing around. Everybody in the park is doing the same thing, and it goes in like seconds. So if you don't get that one, you wait till 2 o'clock, and another window will open up and there's availability. And we were lucky enough to get this window.
On that day. And so we didn't get the first or the second one that day, but we had planned a second day at Hollywood Studios. We got it first try on that day, and our secret weapon was my video game playing husband. To get the person with the fastest reflexes and the most knowledge about tricking out computers, and he sort of figured out how to do a fast refresh and get it done super quick. So not only did he get it, but he got like boarding number 32, which is a pretty low boarding number considering I've only gotten like 77 and 82.
Yeah, ours was like 77.
Yeah.
Another thing too, we had dining reservations at 7:30 at our hotel, and we went to get in line at like 6 o'clock. So they call your boarding group, and you have a set amount of time to go get in line. And there's usually like 15 boarding groups that are showing, when you look at your app. And the line was kind of long. And so I don't think I ever told you this, but we asked the cast member if we would have time. And she didn't think we would. So she pulled us out and took us to an alternate entrance, and we got right on, which was really nice. And I need to send an email to guest services and thank her.
Yes. No, your mileage may vary. This may not happen for you, but yeah, that's and I will say they are doing their best to create as much magic as possible.
He's right though. I don't think we would have made our reservation.
Yeah, it's a long experience. I mean, the ride itself, the experience, I should say, because not all of it is a ride. It's sort of an experience. It's about 22 minutes from beginning to end, assuming everything goes smoothly. And if everything doesn't go smoothly, it can be longer. So, we stayed in one of the holding areas extra time in September for sure. We were there much longer that time than we were this time that we rode. It is totally 100%, 150% worth it. It's a really great experience, and especially if you're a Star Wars fan, it really puts you into the action.
Was geeking out.
Yeah. It's
funny because my friend Terry is not a Star Wars person like that, and she didn't know who the character was. So it was just like such a big difference between him geeking out and her being like, "Oh, look at that cute character."
Yeah. That stormtrooper looks a little weird. Yeah. So it sort of blends like dinner theater with sort of experiential, like almost escape room, but you're not really interacting in that way. So don't take me for that. And we don't really want to give any of it away, but also the technology for the bulk of the ride portion is an amazing technology that the first place I saw it used to its fullest was Ratatouille in Paris, which is about to open in Epcot. We don't know when. It's supposed to open like a couple of months ago. So, but you can see the entrance to it. That technology is super cool, and it makes the ride so much more immersive. So if you've done Ratatouille, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, maybe you've done Spider-Man, which is not nearly the same, but it's kind of the same idea. So it's a really great experience, but that's not what we're not here to talk about Star Wars tonight.
I think we should talk about the difference that it's going to be, though.
Yes, please.
So you will be able to get into the queue at 7 a.m. and you don't have to be in the park to do it, which is a huge difference. And they actually said in an email I received that if you don't get it, you still can go at 2 o'clock. Then you do have to be in the park. Everybody has to be in the park. But they encourage you not to go rush into the park early. They say to like swim at the resort, relax. I think they're trying to spread out the crowd with those studios because those have been the longest lines.
Yeah, I agree. And what was happening, and this is sort of a tip here, is to get there early because they can't really let you gather. So they're opening the park before they say they are. So even though you can make your rides reservation at 7, which is great because then if you're really only going to do rides, you can wait a little bit longer to go in the park. But if you're going to do rides, then still do your thing at 7 and then get there at 9. The park opens at 10, and you'll be able to knock out 2, maybe 3 actual rides. Now, they may change this. When they change this policy, they may actually say you can't be here, stay in the parking lot. I have no idea what will happen. But right now, when I've approached up to an hour before the park. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we were in line for Slinky Dog. We had ridden like 3 rides by the time when the park officially opened.
Yep. And it's not just true at Hollywood Studios. Magic Kingdom, we took the boat from Wilderness Lodge. We were at the train station by 8:30, and we left the park by 9:15. And all because we had a flight that day, and we literally rode Space Mountain and walked through the shops and did some of the shopping. So it's a great way. We probably could have ridden Haunted Mansion, and maybe if we'd hoofed it, we could have gotten Pirates in as well. We'd already done Splash, and although I would have done Splash again, so Splash Mountain. But do get there early because I think that's still going to work in your favor if you can. Granted, everything's much more laid back, and with this change at Hollywood Studios, they may change what they're doing for the early arrivers. But as of right now, that's my best advice. So, are you ready to move on to food? I don't know why my background changed. Let's see. I'm learning this technology, peeps. All right, let's do this one. Yay! Plan your meals. So this was always sort of a rule, right? Walt Disney World, you plan ahead.
Yeah. I still made a lot of dining reservations. We had one on our last Arian Kingdom Day at like 1 o'clock or 1:30 at Yak and Yeti, like 8 o'clock at the Italian place at Boardwalk. It's escaping my mind right now, but that was actually a little bit too close together. We were still full of lunch. So I just, in my head, when I made that reservation, I was thinking, park closes at 6. What are we going to do? What if we're back at the resort and there's no place to eat? It's better. I mean, I thought 8 o'clock would be plenty late enough, but and it was still really good. We just kind of ate off the afternoon menu. It was great, but I would definitely say plan that out.
Yeah, and you do want reservations. If you want to sit down, getting a reservation is the best way to do it. It is possible, especially at your resort, to get walk-ups. And we had to do that because my intention when we went to Walt Disney World, I ordered Blue Apron, which if you know me, you know that that's very important to me. Unfortunately, FedEx decided that my food should go somewhere other than Florida. It was not the fault of Blue Apron. It was totally a FedEx thing. So we never got that food. And so we had to suddenly eat with no reservations. We were staying at Wilderness Lodge. So night 1, we ate at Geyser Point, which is a casual restaurant. We got very lucky. We got the last table, and then there was a line that built up. Now the line, you can stand there and space out, but they'll also text you when your table's ready, so you could go back to your room or what have you and do that. And you can also, well, if not for Geyser Point, you can't make reservations online. You do have to walk up, but then you can go away and then they'll text you. The second night we ate at Whispering Canyon, which is at Wilderness Lodge, and we did an online. So basically I got on my app, just like Open Table or anything like that. I was like, what's available tonight? And Whispering Canyon came up. And so I said, I want to do that. And I think they hold some of them with walk-up space available because they are resort restaurants and they want people to, Mitch just said Geyser Point is amazing, and I'm gonna give him props for that because it's true. Geyser Point is amazing. My favorite place. The bison burger was so good. I did discover they had the fried oysters too after I ordered. Yeah, I was looking at the wrong menu. I'll give you a pro tip about that too. So. So Whispering Canyon, they said, we'll have a table for you in about 40 minutes. And so, or 50 minutes. So I looked at my watch and I said, okay. And we played cards and we played on our iPads and sat in our room. And then when 50 minutes was up, I still didn't have the text, but I was like, let's just wander over there. We started walking up and my husband just started marching ahead. He was like, we're going to go get our table. I was like, they haven't texted me yet. And I looked at my phone. I was like, oh, they just texted me. So we went right in. They said the Karen party. Yes. And took us to our table. Tables were spaced out. You didn't have somebody sitting at a table right next to you. Wait staff is in full mask and plastic visor. You can take off your mask to eat, obviously, once you're sitting at the table, but you do wear your mask. Like if you have to go to the bathroom and leave your table, you put your mask back on. So, and then we had a reservation at Hollywood Brown Derby on Saturday night. I already planned that. And we did like a 6:45 reservation. And it was, we were in one of the booths, if you've ever been there, and there was nobody on either side. So my husband's comment, baller move. So so definitely make the reservations. But then the other thing to know is all the menus are online. So get used to your QR code scanner. If you have an iPhone, it's built in. I think you have an Android, right? Is it just built into the camera?
Yeah, I just take a picture. Like I'm gonna take a picture, and the website pops up.
Yep, same thing. So, and then pay attention when you're ordering. This is the mistake I made at Geyser Point. I was ordering from the lounge menu. There's a pull down menu. Choose the dinner menu, and oysters pop up. So that is super, super important. So it's always a QR code. So that's table service. You want to talk about quick service because you've been doing mobile ordering before mobile ordering was cool.
Yeah, well, I'm cutting it, and I'm an early adopter of tech.
So you want to talk about that process?
Yeah, so basically, whenever you want to eat somewhere else, they have mobile ordering, and you pretty much have to do it this way. So you pull up your app, make sure if there are people in your party who don't normally use the app, they just let you do everything, they're going to want to set up the app, and they're going to want to make sure they have payment attached to the app. Because Elizabeth's husband came with us to beer, and he couldn't have beer because he didn't have payment attached. I didn't realize he had already ordered mine. I had to offer him beer, but he said no, that's okay. So anyway, you're gonna do your mobile order. You can do it in advance and then just say, "I'm here for my order" when you get there. They won't let you up into the area to pick up your food until you show them that the app has called you and said your order is ready. So we did that with bottled water. There's still some parts and stuff like that where you can get that kind of stuff. But I did that with water. I did that with beer. We did that with a lot of different mobile ordering.
And so the process is you can, if you're at the restaurant, they'll have a QR code like on a sandwich board, and you can boop the QR code and get the menu that way. Or if you're in line for Rise of Resistance and you're like, feeling a little peckish, I'm going to want to eat after this, then you can look and see what restaurant you want to eat at that's quick service in the app, in the My Disney Experience app, and pull up the menu. Again, use the pull down menu to use the right menu so you don't miss out on the oysters. And then you can order right there in line and pick your time based on when you think you'll be out. And it's a half-hour window. I don't know what happens if you miss your window because you've paid for your food. So I'm pretty sure that you just say, I'm here. And they're just using it for crowd control. So I'm sure there's a way to fix that if you literally, it takes you forever to save the universe on Rise of the Resistance. And so you have to, you're late for your food. When you then on your app, it'll say, tell us when you're here. Then you have to go back in the app when you're close to the restaurant and say, I'm here now. You have to push a button. I think that was the mistake you made when you first early adopted this, right? Didn't you say you didn't realize that you had to push that button, or was it the window? You didn't know what window to go to?
There was I don't think it was me.
Oh,
the window was supposed to be serving the mobile orders, but they were also serving everybody else. And so that was not working right, but that was a couple years ago.
Yeah, that was when everybody could just order in person. So nobody can order now. So all of it's mobile ordering. And so that is, you need to have that app set up or you will be hungry. You can go to carts and pay just the normal way where you order and get your churro. But the carts have popcorn, pretzels, churros. It's not all the carts are open right now. It is not a wide variety of food. They're serving far fewer people than they usually do. And so they've really cut back. You'll notice the menus will be a little bit more limited as well. I can tell you, because we had one at every place we went, you can get a charcuterie board pretty much everywhere because we had every single one of them. But that's a different story. So when you tell them you're there, you get a little icon that says we're preparing your order. And then once it's ready, it says your order is ready. Pick up at window number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. You show that to the attendant at the door of the restaurant, and he or she will let you in. And then you go to that window. They're very clearly numbered, and you show them your phone, and then they give you your food. They fill out any drinks or whatever that they need to. In some restaurants, there's a fountain drink serve center elsewhere, and you just go up to the guy and tell him what you ordered. Like if you ordered chocolate milk or if you ordered alcohol, then they'll give that to you right then. And then you can find a table. And the tables, in some cases, they've removed tables. In a lot of cases, they've put signs on the tables that say don't sit here. And so you can only sit at the tables that don't have signs on them. And they're pretty well spaced out. The only time we really had trouble finding a table was on my September trip. When we were at Magic Kingdom, it was pouring rain and we went to Pecos Bill. And if you've been to Disney before, you know that Pecos Bill is normally very crowded and all the tables are very close together. So you can only sit at maybe every fifth table and all the tables are still there. It's very hard to find a table. And then it was pouring rain. So everyone was sort of lingering over their food because they didn't want to go out. And that made it very difficult to find a table and people were getting a little bit grumpy. So that's, I think that covers the food things you need to know. Basically set up your app and practice mobile ordering and make reservations for as many table service restaurants as you want. Don't expect to be able to wing it. Right? We covered it all? Okay. Chris is saying you have a bad echo, which you sort of thought so before too. So I don't know. It might be your microphone. So we apologize.
Sorry.
It's our first Facebook Live.
Get to hear me twice.
Okay, so let us talk about character meals. You actually did a character meal, and this is a fairly new thing. They did not do this when the parks first opened back in June. So you want to talk a little bit about it?
Yeah, we did Tolino Terrace, which is a rooftop terrace at Riviera Resort, and super cute.
I'm going to bring up the video. Pause 1 second while I unmute you. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so this is the time when they're coming around dancing to the little song about, happy birthday, happy anniversary, special occasions. But you can see how they don't actually go up to any of the tables. They kind of dance around. They will stand there and kind of stop so you can get some good pictures. And then they come out one at a time as well and just kind of stand and wave to you and stuff. So it's very cute. There's no autograph. There's no hugging them, nothing like that. But you still get to see all the characters. So.
That's great. I just saw 2 kids run by with an autograph book, but you're saying that they do not accept them.
That wasn't an autograph book. Those were they give you a card that says like Riviera Resort and it has all their autographs on it.
Oh.
Card. So that's what they were holding.
Okay. Yeah. That's really nice. So yeah, this is super cute. So you're getting to see the characters. The only difference is you don't get to hug them. And actually for some kids, especially little kids, this might be a better way to do it. Because those big mice are a little. I love this dress. I want this dress. I wonder if I can get it in my size.
I know,
it's so cute. It's so cute. All right. So I think the other thing we need to talk about is the fact that, and I'm sorry, I'm now in a castle. I don't know what happened there. But the other thing we need to talk about is the dining plans.
Oh, yeah, they don't exist. So forget it.
So we're done. Yep. Okay, that's it. They removed dining plans, and I think it's pretty obvious as to why. They haven't said why, but my guess is that they can't accommodate you enough to make it worth the money. There's not all the restaurants are open. They can't accommodate full restaurants. And so they can't sell those dining plans and have you expect to eat that many meals for sure, guaranteed, no problems. So.
Yeah. And honestly, the governor of Florida has said they don't have to restrict the dining, that they don't have to have capacity controlled like that. And I'm glad that Disney still does, because that would have not made me feel good. I felt a lot safer with the table spaced out and the capacity and keeping it the way it was.
Yeah. And I mean, Disney wants you to be as safe as possible in this situation. So it was really nice to be able to go somewhere. It was really nice to go somewhere that means so much to me at a time like this. It was hot and the lines were long, but it's still home to me. So it was a great trip. I thought that VIP tour was awesome. It was a really nice, If you're ever going to splurge, this is a good time to do it. They do book up because it's the only way to park hop right now. So I think Amy just asked a question about flights. So we can start, if you have questions, definitely ask them. And we are happy to answer them. And if it gets busy in the chat, just put a Q. Right now it's not very busy. So Sandy, you want to talk about your experience in the air, and then I can add to that.
We flew on Southwest, and they are capacity controlled, so there's no people in the middle seats unless your family wants to sit, like if you want to sit right beside each other, which we didn't. We wanted to spread out. But yeah, it was good. You have to wear your mask the whole time. They brought water and snacks, so you could pick it off for that, but there was no beverage cart with a bunch of choices, nothing like that. It's a short flight from RDU to Orlando, so that's not too bad.
Yep. And again, we were on Southwest. They are protecting the middle seats until the end of November. They've just recently announced that they're going to start filling the plane a little bit more. United and American already fill the plane. So if you're flying United or American, then you may be in a middle seat or have somebody in the middle seat. And then Delta is still holding a middle seat. And I don't think we've seen an announcement from Delta as to.
I think they said through the end of the year.
Okay. So masks are required on the flight over mouth and nose, and they do. I actually saw one guy. I think it was when we were in Orlando trying to board the plane without one, and they gave him a mask. They were like, "Sorry, you can't get on the plane without the mask." And I was a little bit worried we were going to have some drama, but we didn't. Yay! So you do wear it over your nose and mouth. And when I went in September, I flew Delta, and they actually gave us a little snack bag with water and I think goldfish crackers or Cheez-Its maybe, and the little biscotti cookies. Southwest gives you a cup of water, and it was like a trail mix, right?
Yeah, it was like Chex Mix.
Yeah.
Or what Chex, yeah.
Yep. So nothing fancy, but it wasn't nothing either. So there's that. I felt really safe on the plane. It seemed very clean for sure.
Oh
And
yeah, they really clean them. I mean, it's probably cleaner than it's ever been.
yeah. And the flight attendants were just as sassy as always on Southwest. I always like when you get funny ones, and we did have a couple of funny ones. So yeah, it was just really nice to be able to get on a plane. There was nothing. Magical Express, if you use Disney's Magical Express, they do not handle your luggage right now. So you have to go get your luggage and then take it to the bus. And for those of us who have experienced baggage at in Orlando at MCO before, it used to be horrible. But both flights, I got my bags I think I got them faster than I did when I got back to RDU. So really efficient, since way fewer flights are coming in and out right now. Obviously, that's going to continue to build. We're seeing more and more people sort of brave the parks. So I definitely thought that there was a difference between September and October for like numbers of people. When I arrived to the airport in September, there was nobody in the terminal. It was a ghost town. I thought I had arrived at 2 o'clock in the morning, and it was 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So it's still, there were more restaurants open this time. Last time I was in Orlando, there weren't as many restaurants open in the airport. So yeah, that'll change, I'm sure. But so if you have any other questions, you can put them in the chat right now. Sandy, can you think of anything that we didn't cover?
Let's see. Well, one thing, we Ubered to Disney Springs, and there's only one pickup and drop off point at Disney Springs right now. It's on the far east side by where, if you were staying at Saratoga Springs, that's where you would walk to your resort over by Earl Sandwich. So that's good to know. If you don't want to wait for a bus, you're going to have to go all the way to that side.
It's a long way. Disney Springs is very big. I also found Disney Springs to be pretty chaotic. There were a lot of people there. So it seemed to be a little bit less regulated. That was my opinion. I don't know if you've had the same experience.
We went on a Wednesday night. That was the only time we went. And we ate at Morimoto, and then we kind of walked around. I loved that there were live performers singing and stuff. That was great. And yeah, everything closes at like 10, so it shuts down totally. So that's it's not the big nightlife area that it was, but you can still have it or sit.
Yeah, and if you're going to shop, just know that there's probably one entrance and one exit from the store, or the doors will be marked either entrance or exit. There may be several entrances and exits, but the door that's the most convenient may not be the may not be an entrance. It's true in the parks as well. It can be a little bit annoying. A lot of those, especially in the main streets, like on Main Street USA, all those stores are joined together. So you kind of have to go all the way down and then walk all the way back through them to exit. There's more exits than there are entrances. And I'm sure some of that is crowd control, and it totally makes sense. So.
They're kind of strict about you not walking in and exit, and because there's somebody at the entrance who's counting the number of people.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, my husband walked in the exit, and he was told to go back out and go to the other door.
Reprimanded.
About that.
Yeah. And the stores, they have removed some of the fixtures so that there's a little bit more space, but it's still pretty hard to social distance in there. So, and then you want to remember too, don't touch all the stuff. It's very tempting to do. Hold the hat over your head. Don't, sort of get an idea, but don't
cough on everything.
Yeah, don't touch everything. And there is hand sanitizer everywhere, but it's good. I had some like hooked on my purse as well, just in case, because sometimes the hand sanitizer was out. Sometimes you're moving through so fast, you don't want to let people through. And so you don't have a chance to get a full dose of hand sanitizer. And it's the kind that you wave your hand under and it comes out. So sometimes, like if my son had his hand under there and then I went in right after, it didn't trigger because it thought it was still his hand. So you sort of have to give it a second. It's a little bit slower. So it was good to have hand sanitizer with you because they don't clean the attractions in between each individual rider. So you may be getting into a car right after somebody else and you're going to hold the handrail and you got to pull the bar down. So there's times where you're just going to be touching stuff. So as soon as you get off the ride, there's usually hand sanitizer on the way down, but then you can also just put a squirt in and hand sanitize.
We basically did it before and after every ride. But I did see like Jungle Cruise, they were doing every boat fully between, and so they would have like one boat full of people, the next boat they have a treat, and then they'd have a boat full of people. And then when those people got off, it would alternate, and they would, because it would go through the ride while it was drying. Because they had like the whole bucket thing, spray in it, and they sprayed everything down. So,
Interesting.
yeah, it was interesting. I got a picture of it, but I forgot to give it to you.
So we don't have it in the presentation. Sorry. Obviously, I'm still using learning the technology. So, all right. Well, we've been live for about 50 minutes. It's a long time, so you may be sick of us. If you have any questions, please ask now. Otherwise, we will be posting this on YouTube, and you'll be able to comment there. And we'll leave this up on my feed. And some of the Outlander agents have shared it, as Sandy shared it as well. So you can ask questions there, and we'll respond to you as well. But look for it on our YouTube channel. We'll post the link once we have it, but should be up soon. Thank you so much for coming tonight. It doesn't look like we're getting any more questions. Thank you all for attending. It was really great. This is really fun. So hopefully we'll do it again. I know Sandy's going again in a few weeks, right? So we might have updates to give you.
11th through 14th, me and Anna will be there, and Lindsay and Donald.
Yep. So maybe we'll have to do a little update. So we'll see how much changes. All right. I see no more questions. So we will say good night. See you real soon. Bye.
Bye.